All right, we're live. All right, welcome to the Battle of the Stylists, a one-hour event focused on helping you use style as a tool to help you attract your dream clients, grow your business, and ultimately feel like the best version of yourself. Today, I'm joining three fierce, fabulous, and absolutely funny businesswomen in the ring for a fight to the finish. Let's get started and introduce them by their wrestling characters' names. Let me turn off my echo really quickly. Okay, turn that off. If you want to jump into the chat, we have a chat box. You can log in below the chat, and Meg is leading the chat there, so if you have any questions, just pop them in there. All right, so cheer for your stylist and your wrestler as I introduce them. From the far right corner, we have Sarah, the punk and Calmo. Punk as in pun, because Sarah loves puns. Sarah is the founder and creative director of Public Persona, a multidisciplinary brand design and styling studio. She brings more than 15 years of high-end commercial experience in branding, advertising, design, creative direction, art direction, and fashion styling for major media, fashion, and lifestyle brands to small personality-led businesses. She also brings puns. From the left corner, we have Meg, Mega Clap Clark. Meg is the creative behind Clapping Dog Media. There, she creates gorgeous, results-driven websites that actually work. Meg helps clients with strategy, branding, and putting vision to what they do. She is also passionate about doing good and giving back. And from the back corner of the ring and outside, live in New York City, we have Tiana Becca, aka TT. TT is the creative director of New York City-based Ash and Light, who seek out to disrupt the traditional bridal model with contemporary, re-wearable power dresses tailored for the modern warrior. Drawing inspiration from sportswear, TT creates dresses for the whole tribe, designed for the wedding ceremony and well after. Ash and Light Bridesmaids launched in the fall of 2013, and the girls look forward to the introduction of Ash and Light Bridal this month. TT is a 17-year fashion industry veteran, having worked in both contemporary and mass market spaces, with a brief stint designing raver pants in the early 2000s. She's not terribly proud of that. That's okay, we forgive you. And I'm your host, the playful but oh so dangerous pirate. I got my sword, and I'm your copywriter, digital strategist, and sometimes even your unlicensed therapist at KiraHug.com. I'm super excited about tonight's battle because style has definitely been on my mind since the last battle in May, this Battle of the Copywriters, which some of you may have jumped into. For me, style has been so important because I think I hit my peak in 7th grade when I was voted trendsetter in junior high. And I was wearing Delias, and I had my pastel pink Converse sneakers, and I had like tons of babysitting income because I just was babysitting every single weekend. And that was kind of the life. It was great. And you know, if you fast forward to today, I've got babies, I've got a business that I'm trying to invest in and grow. I've been wearing maternity clothes for the past like 3 years. And I still wear them now, even though my baby is 8 months old, which is really embarrassing. Yeah,
maternity clothes are different now.
No, but I don't have the cute ones. I still have like the ugly ones. And so even working virtually, like many of you watching, when you're working virtually, it's really easy to say, well, it doesn't really matter what I'm wearing or what my office looks like or what I do day to day because my clients are like in Australia. They have no idea. So I think it's really easy to let style kind of like self-care just kind of leave your life if you're not deliberately focused on it. And I think that's something that's happened to me over the past few years, and I don't want it to continue. I want to get my groove back, and I felt like bringing these amazing, stylish, talented women into this battle would be a great way for you to find out how to infuse style into your brand and business. So I want to start off by thanking all three of our wrestlers who are here, giving their time this evening to participate and share their experiences, insights with all of you. So thank you, Sarah, Meg, TT. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Yay! Great. And just to go over the goal for this event, like I said, we want to share our practical yet powerful style, branding, fashion, design tips so you can implement it into your business and attract new clients. We want this to be something you could start today, tomorrow. It's something that you shouldn't have to have thousands of dollars or be a six-figure businesswoman to have the style that you want in your business. So we really want to keep tonight actionable for all of you. And the only ground rules that we have before we jump into the battle are, if you have questions, jump into the chat box. Meg is going to be managing the chat box. This is a fight, so we will challenge each other. Yeah, these women are fierce. We will challenge each other and the rules, and we're going to forget formulas. We're going to forget what everyone else is doing online just for tonight. There isn't one way to do anything, and I think sharing all three of these women's perspectives is a great way for you to remind yourself that there isn't just one way. So we won't sell anything. This is a pitch-free webinar. We just ask you to support your stylist, cheer in the chat box, keep it friendly, and if we have time, we'll have Q&A at the end. We're going to try to keep this to 1 hour because I know we all have things to do, and we'll keep this within the hour. So that's it. Ladies, can you say it with me? Let's get ready to rumble. All right, so we'll start off with the first question. Question is, why do some online bosses think style is fluffy and less important than other investments in their business? And what would you say to them? So who wants to start?
I mean, I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier about how your personal style currently isn't an outward-facing message. It's something that sort of remains contained within the confines of your home because that's where you do the bulk of your work. So it seems like a frivolous, expense, pursuit when you're sitting behind a computer screen. But at the end of the day, your clients are going to, we live in a world where things like this, like hanging out on Gmail, is a thing that we do all the time. We're on Skype, we're on FaceTime, and it's important to have an outward-facing message that is not necessarily positive, but one that appeals to your clients. I mean, it's like putting on a costume. It's actually, I think it's a shame that people don't take more advantage of the fact that when they face their clients online, they could technically be fabulous from here up and present the exact right message, and then maybe not be wearing pants, and that's fine. So it's half the effort for twice the gain. Do it.
Mm-hmm. And I would just add that there's many people doing the same thing that you're doing. There's lots of copywriters out there. There's lots of designers out there, and what people buy is your personality. And so you need to infuse your personality and your style into your brand because that's what people ultimately buy. Because there's somebody out there doing the same thing cheaper. And the reason why they're buying you is your personality and you need to infuse that into your brand because they're buying you. And so you need to put your style into your business because people are buying you and it needs to shine through your brand. So your style needs to be throughout your brand. And the only thing that makes you unique and your business unique is you. Because there's a million businesses out there, but you is just special.
That's a really good answer.
That's very true. The only thing that I would add to that too is the word that you used where you actually are saying the word online, and I think that's a key word because it's very different being in the online space versus like, you know, having a brick and mortar boutique that you show up in, or, you know, you're around people all the time. So, you know, if you're showing up online, you know, you have to, you know, just to go along with it, what they were saying, you have to exude that in 7 seconds. I mean, honestly, that's how long it takes for somebody to make up their mind about you, of whether they're going to buy from you or whether they're going to say bye-bye, you know? It's like, so if that's not resonating in that time span, I mean, that's pretty much it. The door's closed.
That's right.
So it is of utmost importance, you know, that you're communicating something, that you're exuding your personality, especially in the online space.
That's exactly right.
So Sarah, you said 7 seconds. And so what are some ways for the people that are listening, they're like, oh wow, that's a lot of pressure to make it happen and build that connection within 7 seconds. How do I even start, especially for maybe women that are new to online business? Do they start with the website, or do they start with kind of like reconfiguring their office so they feel confident, or is it just a bunch of different components?
Put on lipstick, goddammit.
I think it's whatever, you know, makes you feel the most confident. But I mean, you know, I think that if, you know, people feel like they have to have it all when they're first starting a business, I mean, that's what you're, you know, sort of asking about. And, you know, it's like you could have this, you know, simple logo and a simple website, but really what's going to, you know, grab people immediately is your photography, your photo, and especially if it's you that's leading the business. If it's a photo of you, you need to make sure that it tells a really clear story through your style or through your actions or through the lighting or something that you're doing, some action that actually tells people really quickly in that 7 seconds who you are, what your flavor is, and what it is that you do. So it's just thinking about, what is your story? What's the story you want to tell? And making sure that that comes through, even in just that one photo at the top of your website.
That's
something.
Sorry, Tiana, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, to Sarah's point, she said something that sort of like rang a bell with me, and I do think that it's incredibly, telling the story begins with having a very strong brand identity and brand message, and that's something that starts at the inception of your brand before you've made a logo or even taken a photo. You need to know exactly who you are and make sure that that message is infused in every single thing that you do, including your website, including your marketing materials, including you when you're presenting yourself to your clients. It's so important to be able to give people the opportunity in 7 seconds to be able to say, I know exactly who this brand is, and they're either for me or they're not.
Yep. So how do you do that for people? I mean, you can hire someone to work with you on the branding. You know, you could hire all of you, and I'm currently working with Sarah on the branding, the photos. We have some really fun projects in place, but for people that are listening, they're like, I am not working with someone right now. I actually can't hire someone right now, but I believe in the power of that photo telling my story. Do I just go out in the backyard, basically like I did a couple months ago, and take my own photos? And if I am taking my own photos, there's nothing wrong with that. How do I tell my own story when I am not quite sure how to do that?
You collect materials of things that appeal to you, and then sort of make a mood board, inspire yourself, and you go outside, and you don't take one photo, you take 300 photos, and one of them's going to be great. And then you find a friend. Seriously, I think that I speak for all four of us when I say that we've probably built our brands. What's up? Someone's taking my picture right now. I think we've all built our brands on the backs of our friends who are kind-hearted and have certain skills and are willing to help us out. And like when you're first starting out, that's what you have to do. You just have to be resourceful. You find a friend who's a web designer. You find like your one friend who knows Photoshop, and you say like, hey, can you like retouch my dark eye circles out of this so that I can post it on my website? You just kind of like make it happen.
Well, yeah, you do. I think you DIY some things and you put your resource into other things. And I think you're exactly right, Tita. When you're just building your business, you do what you're really good at, and then you outsource the rest.
Exactly.
And you figure out friends, and you trade resources for what you can do, and then you swap things for the rest. You make it happen, and you bootstrap the rest.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because you're really good at some things, your friends are really good at other things, and you swap, and you stick to what you're good at, and you swap the rest.
When I was first starting out with Ash and Light, my business partner and I had a motto, and it was fake it till you make it and don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
Well, I think people also, they tend to want to overcomplicate things, or and
So
if you're
true.
just starting out, just keep it simple. There's that KISS, keep it simple, stupid. Like,
Yeah.
seriously, just, it doesn't have to be complicated. And less is more, honestly. It's better for you to be, to use like a Squarespace, like really simple, clean, website template, and get a really nice photo of you where you're sure that you're wearing your favorite shirt that says a lot about you, and maybe you have cool wallpaper behind you like Kira does right now.
If I move, this will all fall down, by the way.
Okay. It's not wallpaper?
It's a carefully orchestrated facade.
It is. It's a facade. This is a facade right there.
It's made out of cardboard and dreams.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, you don't have to have everything fancy, and you don't have to have everything figured out at first. It's like just keep it really distilled and really simple.
And so I think that I like the idea of keeping it simple and outsourcing it to friends and really being resourceful. And I think, I also like the idea as you start to bring in some money into your business to really focus on where you want to invest it. So instead of spreading it out all over, to be really clear about, okay, well, I know if I have amazing photos that stand out and they're totally different from everyone else that is a copywriter, right, then I'm going to really stand out in my marketplace. So if you focus on the photos, you invest in that and you make sure that they're incredible, rather than putting a little bit of money in all these different things.
Absolutely.
And all these different programs. And I think that for me, as I'm starting and growing, it's really just been, okay, well, what can I focus on, and put everything in there and just make sure that it's superb. And then when that's ready, move on to the next thing.
And it's really smart to invest into the things that you can't do for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, definitely. And then, kind of the other side of this, the flip side is, where do people go wrong as they're starting off? And, like you said, keep it simple, Sarah. So where do people go wrong when they are doing this? Are they looking at every single other person online? And I guess we kind of know the answer to this, but a lot of us do this. I mean, I've done it, where you look and you see, well, what else are the other people doing in my niche? And maybe I should be doing what they're doing. Maybe I should have the same type of photos where I'm smiling and like I look pretty. And
it's shiny object syndrome. Everybody, you look around and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to focus on this course or this service or this project or this subject, and then you get 6 months into it or 3 months into it, and somebody else is doing something different and they're really successful at it. So then you say, oh, well, I want to do that too. So you stop, you look up and you look around instead of staying focused and stop looking and not look around. You need to stay focused on what you're good at and what your gifts are and what you're really good at, and you just need to stay the course and not look around. And I think the biggest mistake is people spread themselves too thin and offer too many services or offer too many products, and they don't stay focused on what they're really good at. So my biggest advice for anybody is stay focused on what you're really good at. And just because somebody's really successful at offering service B, you don't have to offer service B, even if you could do it. But you need to do what you're really good at and offer it like no one else does. And you'll be really successful. Maybe it takes you 6 months. Maybe it takes you 4 years. But you just need to be really focused, laser focused on what you're really good at.
That's exactly right. It's like the phrase that I always say is "you do you," but it's just kind of put on your horse blinders. Don't be swayed. And it actually a lot of people feel like for instance, like I studied art, and when I first started, they had us like copying masters, and that's how you would learn something. But then you would develop your own sort of like flavor or sense of style. but it's kind of the same. It's something where you're better off being different. You're better off not following the crowd. And just like Kira, you said early on, there is no one right way to do something. So it's like just find your own path. And I mean, honestly, sometimes I tell people, don't even look at what other people are doing. Like, look at it in the beginning, just to see what's out there, and to find your own way, and then just don't look anymore, because it's just going to sort of cloud your own creativity, honestly.
Amen, sister.
Okay, so for all of you then, this is really hard. I think we all probably agree that this makes sense. We shouldn't look at what other people are doing. We should stay focused and just do our own thing. And that's really hard. I mean, I've been told that so many times. I believe it, talk about it, but I catch myself still checking out other people, checking out other ideas. And so how do all three of you really stay focused on your path and try to block out all the noise, because you all are successful in what you're doing, so it might help other people to hear about some of your tips?
I know for me, I just don't look. You know what? I mean, I know that sounds so simple, but I just don't look. It's like, I mean, you can look at other things outside of your, your niche, but it's like, if you don't look at how somebody else does something, figure it out for yourself. Like, get creative. Think about it. Allow yourself to kind of figure out, how would I approach, whatever it is that you do, copywriting? How can I do that a little bit differently? And again, it's like, the more different that you are, the more distinctive you are. And that's, the whole thing is, you're better off actually not looking at what other people are doing, and just keep your eyes on your own paper.
Okay, well, to dig deeper into that, so Sarah, do you just unsubscribe from all emails, all newsletters? Do you just try to limit social media or cut out social media completely? Like, what has worked for you so that you've been able to do that successfully?
I'm honestly, like, unless it's with my friends and family, and a lot of people would tell you that this is not the right way to go, but this is what I do. I just don't really pay much attention to Facebook or social media. I love looking at, like, Instagram or Pinterest, because it's eye candy and it's inspiration. But other than that, I don't really belong to anyone's email list. I just kind of keep my eyes on my own paper. And what's cool is that you end up coming up with more innovative things that way, and more innovative techniques, because it's not being watered down by what you're seeing that everybody else is doing.
I'm actually going to take, now it's a battle, I'm going to take a counterpoint.
I'm waiting for the battle. Bring it on.
So I think that the conversation that we're having applies singularly to creative people, and I've been listening to this whole thing and being like, church, because I feel the exact same way. But I think I'd like to share with you guys that I have a business partner. I'm lucky enough to have a business partner who is a logistical, process-oriented, sort of like front-end numbers person, which is not to say that she doesn't have a great taste and isn't creative, but that's not really her lane. That's my lane in our business. And we find that doing research and looking at other people's stuff helps us to, in a way, remain competitive. We make a point of sort of sticking to our guns whenever possible and having faith in the product itself. But when it comes to, like, we'll comp shop other brands.
Oh, I think you dropped. We don't hear you.
Can't hear.
Yeah.
Maybe you muted.
I thought it was just me.
That's okay. Figure it out and then jump back in. Because we want to hear what you're saying. I know it's important.
Yeah.
All right, we'll figure it out.
I'll answer.
All right.
Until she jumps back in. The way I kind of figured out, I don't have a battle. I think that's a really great technique, Sarah. I'm a little bit in between. But the way I figured out my niche and what I like, my niche, and how I never say that word right, FYI, is niche. I don't know. So
we back?
clueless. There she is.
Are we back?
Were you back?
Yeah!
Meg is speaking, and then you can jump back in with your piece.
Jump back in.
Go, baby, go.
It's the way. I think there's a nice balance. I don't know if the word balance is
Totally.
should be in our English language, but because what is balance? But that's another conversation. But the way I found what works for me is I found clients that I love to work with, and so once I found my clients and they found me, it was like I want more of you. Then I found more of them. So I found where they hung out on social media and what Facebook groups they were in and what where they were on Instagram, and I went to them, and it was I found them, they found me, and then I hung out there so I could get more clients. So that's what I did. So I spend time looking for them. I don't spend a lot of time looking at competition because there's a bazillion designers out there, and I'm a designer, and then it can kind of just get depressing because I'm like, I am swimming in a big pond. But I use social media to find my clients because I have a specific niche of clients that I like to work with, and they're the ones that make me happy. So that's why I use social media.
It's hard at the beginning when you are new and you need to use social media to find clients. So then it's almost like you open that door, you hear the noise, you are finding clients, so it's successful, but you need to like go in, get your clients, connect with them, and then get out very quickly before you feel just all that, you hear all that noise.
And in the beginning, I took everybody that would pay me money. So I took, oh, you have money? I would love you. Yes. My door was open, and I took every one of them. So if you're new, that's exactly what I did. If I took every single client, if they had money, I took it from them, and I had no.
That's what you do.
I had no boundaries, and I learned a lot. So like, oh, I do work, and you have money. It's a match made in heaven.
It's gonna work out.
It's going to be perfect. and then I was like, this is not perfect. I'm working all the time, and I'm making like $3 an hour. Then I found my way. But it just takes time.
And TT, what were you going to say before when you got cut off?
Oh, no, just going back to the conversation we were having, a strategy that my partner and I developed is that she now does the creative research and sort of like reports back to me. And it's a really good way to filter out sort of like the noise that is going to cloud your best creative judgment and filter only for the things that might be applicable to our business. So she's sort of like a first wave of research, and then she sends me emails all day long being like, oh, you got to check this out. You got to see what these guys are doing. It's really awesome. They have this like interactive blah, 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 and we could be comping this kind of business in our business. And a lot of really awesome ideas have come out of that kind of research because she's smart. So it works out. Karen knows.
Yeah, she's very smart. We'll have to get her on another battle. Yeah, so I mean, it sounds like for you, you pull creative ideas in from the outside as well. So it is a balance.
And it's also about knowing your business. If you know what you're doing, you kind of like can't fail, and your gut is your best ally when it comes to doing what you do. It's like you just sort of like if you've been doing what all of us do for a really long time, over the years you sort of develop just laser sharp instincts, and you know exactly what you're supposed to be doing. You don't really need outside influences. You know exactly what's up.
Yeah.
And so for all three of you, I think discipline is a big part of this. Based on those last responses, you have to have the discipline to be able to know what you're doing, turn things off, go in, do what you need to do in order to be successful. So what helps all of you in your day-to-day routine to kind of embrace your style? So, I know all three of you are, just beyond great businesswomen. Like, you have great style. That's why you're on this call. And I think it doesn't necessarily come naturally to everyone. And I do think it's so important for us all to open our arms and embrace it. So is there anything you do daily just to kind of like tap into that and just to kind of stay creative with your own style?
I mean, I dress like a Japanese art school teacher all the time, so I shouldn't be answering this question. No, but that helps me. You know what I mean? Like, sort of putting my own personal style on the back seat allows me the bandwidth to be creative towards my business.
So wait, what's digging into that? Like, what's the mindset there? Is just to play with costume, which I'm obviously a fan of, or like, how did you go down that path?
I mean, I just, I think living in New York City is a huge influencer on my personal style, and I have noticed lately that I dress a little bit like a hot boy. Like, I wear a lot of cool T-shirts and leather jackets, and but it's because it's simple and stylish, and I have a great T-shirt and a great leather jacket, and it's sort of like pieces that you can pull out of your closet without really having to think about it, and just throw it on and slap on some mascara and walk out the door. But I think that not having to think about my own personal style on a week like this week, where I'm putting in probably 120 hours of work, is going to help me keep my creative energy for when I'm, sitting in front of my computer later tonight, cleaning pixels until 4 a.m.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, because for every amazing part of your job, there's always the cleaning pixels part of your job. So you definitely need something to keep you going through. Because no matter how awesome your job is, there's always that, I'm cleaning pixels, or I'm doing the darn part of your job. For me, how do I keep the good part of it? I remember why I do it. So for me, I'm in a different life stage. So I'm a mom, so I'm home with kids, and I get to set my schedule. So that's why I do what I do. So what keeps me going and when I get to keep my style going is the flexibility and just the freedom that I have. So that's what reminds me of, I get to get dressed at 1 in the afternoon and take a shower at 1 in the afternoon, and that's what helps
that
me.
hurts my feelings. It's so amazing.
It is, but so that's really helpful. So that's why I'm in this. I mean, I worked at agencies for years, but now I'm home with kids, so that's cool.
Do you find it hard to kind of go back and forth though? So you're in kid mode, mommy mode, and you got spit up on your shoulder, and then all of a sudden you jump on a Skype call with a potential client 30 minutes later. Is it hard to move into?
Yes.
How do you do that? Because that's what I'm trying to work on.
It's really hard. It's totally. I have not won that battle.
Yeah,
it's a battle that I fight every day. So my people are 3, 6, and 8. So I'm not in the spit up mode, and I can talk to them, so they can understand my words. So
if anybody has the answer to that, just reach out to me.
Maybe there's money to be made in sort of just a up to the waist mask that you can just pull on. That's already a perfectly coiffed wig and the dope outfit and just a sheet that goes over your face that has a full face of makeup on it. Yeah, it's just you just pull it on. You do your thing.
Like the tuxedo shirt that was really popular in the 80s. The shirt that was all one tuxedo.
Yeah. Business on the top, party on the bottom.
That's right.
Yoga pants on the bottom.
I'm not gonna lie.
Pants on the bottom.
I've done phone calls where I'm totally done up from here up, and then I'm wearing boxer shorts.
That's right.
I'm not gonna lie.
I'm wearing boxer shorts right now. In the mean streets of New York City.
I am wearing
oh wow. Oh wow, you did it.
Wow.
I am a ninja.
Such effort.
You're welcome.
We appreciate it. We definitely do. And so, Sarah, for you, what about your day-to-day schedule? How do you keep your style as part of your day and that creativity in there?
Well, I mean, I'm the same as Meg. I come from agency land in New York where I had to go to, work every single day, and I had to dress up and play the part and go to client meetings and so forth. And so it's a little different now, when I work on my own and I work from, my own home. But, I try, I don't know how many people that are on this call actually, are like Meg and I that kind of do our own thing during the day. But I literally will get dressed and put on makeup, and I will go somewhere else and work for a while. And just doing that kind of it makes you feel a lot more productive for some reason, and it makes you feel a little bit more put together and not kind of, as haphazard as, I mean, of course I've had my days where I've stayed in PJs all day, and, I end the day up feeling like, lazy, and, who knows. But, I think it's just, if you just put in a little bit of effort, I think that it actually improves how you're feeling about yourself, which is really what's the most important thing.
Yeah. I want to tell you guys a story that relates back to what you just said from last night. I was up till like 4 in the morning cleaning pixels, and at one point I walked into the bathroom that has really, really bright lights on, and I had like just fully fallen apart at this point. And I looked in the mirror, and I looked like I'd just been murdered, and I was just like, oh, you asshole, come on, get it together. And like just put on a little under eye makeup and like a little mascara, and looked in the mirror, and I was like, you know what? I feel better. I'm ready to finish this project. Let's go in there. And like sort of like project manage my appearance in the security and safety of my own home where there was no one except for me. And you know what? I think it helped me get it done faster. Mm-hmm. So I totally agree with you. Put on my Batman mask, and I was like, let's go to work.
Done. The Batman mask will definitely help. Keep that on hand. So it sounds like, to kind of make this more actionable, it sounds like all you need is some concealer.
That's right.
Under eyes. Make sure, if you need to reapply something to make you feel better, do that. Getting out of the house really helps, and I agree, Sarah. Like I love getting out of the house. It really helps me just to be around other people and to be somewhat decent and out of my PJs. I think costumes for me really helps, just because like right now I feel good. Puts me in a good playful mindset. So I think that's something that could help. You mentioned experimenting, TT, so experimenting with your hot boy look and just embracing your hot boy. And
I can't believe I actually said that out loud.
And scheduling too. So Meg mentioned really owning your schedule, which some people can do now, some people can't do, but even you just working towards that, because when you have that flexibility, it really helps as well. So you can kind of keep the style in your business. Yeah. Anything I missed there?
That was a good recap.
Killing it.
Okay, so let's talk about just the consistency all around with style in, your business and then your lifestyle. I mean, we've talked about it already, but it all blends together. So if you're not feeling good in your day-to-day, it's going to be hard to show up online and show up the way that you want to. So what are some ways that the people listening can focus on the little things that can make a big difference, so everything is consistent online and offline? If they show up to your website, you show up the same way in person, and then you show up the same way at a networking event and maybe on Skype, so that it all just blends nicely.
I'll jump in. I think that it's, number one, making sure that you're telling, going back to the story, making sure you're telling the right story.
Totally.
And just write it down. Write it down. Just in the simplest of terms. What do you want to be saying to people? And that's verbally and visually. And visual, being style as well. And the other thing is, like TT was saying, make a mood board. Refine it and keep that with you. Keep it on your iPhone or wherever you are. And if you go into a store, look at your mood board and say, does this match? Maybe not. So put it down. Or, if you're thinking of putting up a blog post and you're looking at the image that you're going to put up, does it align with the story and does it align with the mood board? If it's a no, put it down. So it's just kind of like having a system of checks and balances, having some sort of a guideline that you can go back to frequently and make sure that you're remaining on point.
Yeah.
And don't bite off too more than you can chew. I think a lot of people, when they start businesses or when they're in the middle of stuff, they say, oh, I want to do Instagram, and I want to do Facebook, and I want to do Pinterest, and I want to do this, and I want to blog twice a week. And then they take too much on, and it's really hard to be consistent throughout. So pick one or pick two and stick to it. So get your story, get your strategy, and then pick 1, 2 max social medias, and then do those really well. And consistency breeds legitimacy, and just do those. Pick 6 months, whatever. Just do those really, really well. So Make sure all of your pictures are aligned. Put a watermark on your images. Make sure they're pinnable, whatever. And just do those really, really well. And that's my advice. Just stay small. Keep your eye on your own paper and do those really well. And that will keep your story straight, just like what Sarah said. And do it the same thing, consistency, because consistency will breed legitimacy. And people need to hear your story over and over again. When you're tired of saying your same thing over and over, nobody else is, because nobody's paying attention like you're paying attention. People maybe see it, people maybe not seeing it, but just keep saying it over and over and over again until when you're tired of it, people are just taking notice.
That's a really good point too. Is just you need to repeat it, because I get tired of saying, I just don't like to say the same things over again. I'm like, oh well, I've told my story once on one podcast, so everyone must know my story. Or I showed up as a pirate on one interview, so everyone knows that I'm a pirate. And you forget that people don't know, and a few people probably paid attention. A lot of people forget, and that you just need to keep showing up, to keep like getting in their face in a nice way, but like getting in people's face over and over again. And I think that's my challenge, is that I think I pull back, because I'm like, well, I've already told them what I do, so I'm just gonna pull back and retreat.
Yeah, no, you need to tell them over and over again.
And be patient.
Yeah. Until your style just is in everybody's face. So they immediately associate you with pirate, or you with pink, or you with your tagline over and over and over and over again until they just know.
And so let's talk about the most important style lesson you have all learned. I think it's if it's a story or whatever, a person that stood out to you and taught you something, or just an experience that helped you, that maybe we can translate into something that all the participants can use in their business. Who wants to start?
That's a tough one.
Go for it, Meg.
Well, I don't want to talk over people. I have a couple of stories. I have a couple of people, whatever. So, my favorite story, my favorite lesson that I want everybody to take away. I don't know where people are in their businesses, or I know somebody had said, I'm going to scroll up in the chat, that said that she's a food photographer, and so she's just, I think that's no, she said she was just getting started, and just getting started in her brand. And I just said this, but my biggest thing for you is to take away is get your story down, say it over and over out loud, and consistency breeds legitimacy. So get your story and say it over and over, and get your story on your brand. So go get your Facebook, your Instagram handle, your Pinterest handle, get it all so that you have your online story. Now, I don't want you to necessarily go and use all of them on a daily basis, but just get them all and have them, so that in 2 years or 3 years or 6 months, when you're ready to go and be online and use them all, I don't want you to not have these handles or your names. So just go and my first thing I want you to do is just to go get your domains and your names and purchase them all, and then start somewhere. Just start using them and start posting pictures and getting your strategy and your name out there. And so when I started, I just started doing Instagram and just started taking pictures and using them, and then I started putting color on them, and I started using the same color, and then after a while, that's just kind of what I did. And then I did a website, and anyway, so a lot of rambling, but my first piece of advice is, if you're just starting out, is go secure your names, and then just start somewhere and just be consistent about it. And the more you do it, you'll eventually get your style, and you'll get your name, and you'll get your own brand. that makes sense.
No, it does, and I think it just, don't get caught up and overwhelmed. Just, you can make a plan, but then just start somewhere and make progress. I think it's easy to get overwhelmed by all of this, and probably even people listening may hear this and just feel like, oh my gosh, there's so much to do. Where do I even start first? So I think it's a good reminder just to start somewhere, and it will evolve from there. Just, try to protect yourself from getting overwhelmed. I think that we all need to hear that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I think, just going along with what she just said in a sense, but it is, just, finding what it is that kind of, makes you feel good about yourself. I think confidence is always the biggest piece. So, I know a lot of people when they're first starting out, they're lacking that, and they kind of feel like, there's so many things and there's so many people, and that, it is a little bit overwhelming. And if you don't have if you don't feel like you have a defined sense of style, and that means like, in terms of a brand or in terms of personal style, it's okay, because it will come. And, it's the kind of thing where, like you were saying, just start small, start with baby steps, start with, do you want to have like a thing? Do you like striped shirts? Cool, make that your thing. I mean,
I do.
It's just, it's just start small. And, I think that, eventually you're going to gain that confidence. And with that, you're going to have the sort of, gut to be able to go back and check and make sure that you're sort of always on point. But in the beginning, just start small, one thing.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think it's just the confidence point is great, because I think a lot of what we're doing and we're talking about is all building into the confidence. It's feeling good when you jump on that call, the discovery session or whatever with a client, and feeling really good about yourself so that you can sell them, and because your stuff and you're showing up the way that you want to show up. And so I think for me, this whole style venture and getting my groove back and all of this it's for confidence. It's definitely for confidence, because I know once I get my confidence to like a 10, I think once that happens, my business is going to be in a really good place. And I think it's really good to be honest with yourself too, about where you are, and be okay saying, maybe I'm not feeling like I'm a 10 with confidence right now. That's okay. And I think, I reflected at the start of this year and knew that I had a lot of room for growth in that area and my business confidence. And so it's something I think about, every month, every week, sometimes daily. And it's a good check-in point as you're finding your style. Okay, so before we start to take questions from the group, Meg, jump in if there are any questions, just so we don't miss anything, because I haven't been in there. I kind of want to talk about the business impact of style, because again, like going back to style being fluffy and this kind of just like nice to have, oh, it's great that, put some lipstick on and everything is going to be great. There's a definite impact on it. I think that it's hard sometimes to define it, to figure out the, return on investment of really one-of-a-kind style, even though we can all probably name people in online business and beyond that have it, and we know it's attached to their success. So I think just if any of you can share any thoughts about the link between style and your business success, whether that's a story, whatever.
To comment on what you were saying earlier, I think the greatest ROI of having a personal sense of style and exuding a personal sense of style is that it will give you confidence, and it will improve your sort of attitude when you're with your clients, in the sense that you'll feel good, so you'll be good. I mean, the perfect example is, I'm sure you guys all know who this is, but there's a woman named Sophia Amoruso who runs an online business named Nasty Gal, and she sort of came up with the whole hashtag girl boss movement. She is a fierce, angular, like badass bitch, and that's her outward-facing message every single day. And I really, like, you sort of look at her and you watch her talk and speak at events, and it's not, she looks great, and as aspirational as that is, I think what's even more inspiring is the fact that you can tell that her outward appearance gives her a tremendous sense of personal confidence, and she acts accordingly. And that is very inspiring. And that's something that we can all take away to improve our businesses. It's like, if you look great, you're going to feel great, and you're going to be great.
And I think a lot of our clients, or our would-be clients, are going to look at us or look at you and say, well, how does their stuff look? How did your website, how does your social media look? How did your business profile look? Because if I'm going to hire you to fix my stuff, client, that's ultimately how mine's going to work. So
yeah.
if you respect yourself well, and if you're well styled, that's how mine's going to work. So what the ROI is, if you are well styled and if you present yourself well, then that's how you're going to treat your clients.
And I think there's something to be said about knowing your audience too. You know what I mean? Like, I think that my personal style and my business partner's personal style is reflective of our business. And like, I don't really think, so we sort of appeal to contemporary, modern minded bridesmaids. And I don't think that the like J. Crew bridesmaid is exactly like trying to come holler at us, because she's going to take one look at me and be like, this is not for me. But a girl like me, a girl who lives in New York and who like wants something different and something a little bit more modern, is going to take a look at me and my personal style and be like, these are the girls that I want to hang out with. So I think it's important to sort of curate your look to your audience, but also sort of corral your audience to people whose sort of psychology you understand.
That's right. It's all about knowing who you are, what clients you want to get, and then looking that way and attract the people that you want.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I mean, I'm in total agreement with you guys, and it is like, knowing your market, what do they like? The thing that I always like to have people do as well, if you don't really understand what they like, because I know that's always a question that I get, is like, well, how do I know? Who is your market? Write it down, but also figure out where do they like to shop? What magazines do they like to read? What movies do they watch? What kind of music do they listen to? Because odds are you're going to start to notice that there's some similarities between all of them. So look at that, look at yourself and your own sense of style, and then try to merge the two. And if you can do that, and you can do that in a really unique way, honestly, I can tell you just straight up from numbers of clients, I've had people that have changed their image and have done that successfully. And, it's been reflected in like an image on the head of their website, and just putting that out has doubled or quadrupled their revenue.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's kind of amazing because it can make people look like a really big deal, and it really makes them stand out because you're speaking your audience's language, but you're also, really showing people, again, that story, and you're showing people like your personality. So if you're able to do those three,
gold,
you're good as gold.
Yeah.
And I think it's great. It's just combining the two, which I think that's kind of the battle, is usually like, well, if I just do everything that I want to do for me and kind of represent myself, will that relate to my clients? But Sarah, what you're saying makes sense. It's really a combination of the two to make it click and to really make it gel. Mm-hmm. And I think, your example of changing your header on your website and how that could really impact your bottom line and bring in new clients, help you raise your prices. I mean, it's a real thing. I've seen people do it. It takes, I think it just takes someone's business to the next level when you can tell that not only have they invested time and energy, possibly money in their business, but that they've put the thought and their story into it. I admire in other businesses, and I know it's changed other businesses. So if you have any examples of anyone that's done it, feel free to share. And then I think we want to wrap this up by sharing just like one takeaway, one action step that our listeners can implement with their website. So Sarah, I know you already, Sarah, I know you already mentioned one, just changing the header image, but anything else that people listening could actually do tonight if they wanted to stay up late tonight. It doesn't require money. They can just put time and energy into this one change that could help add style to their website and help them stand out.
Simplify your navigation. Make your site easy to navigate. You don't have to say everything at once. Just say the important stuff and make it pretty.
That's a great idea. Mine is, if you have a website and you have Google Analytics on it, to start digging into your analytics. This is not so much style, but understanding this really digs into your audience. So understanding who your referrals are and where people are coming from, and that really digs into what Sarah was saying. Like, since if you're on the web, we can really understand who your audience is, where they're coming from, where they're leaving.
Yeah.
Really dig into the analytics of your site so we can figure out who they are, what they're looking at, where they're coming from, and that can really clarify your message. So really understand who they are and can give you a little bit more strategy. So that's what I would do if it was free, if it was tonight, I dig a little bit deeper into your analytics of your site.
And I would say, honestly, again, less is more. So, most people, again, you look at a website and you're trying really hard to tell everybody everything that you need to tell. And, honestly, strip it down. So look at your homepage and just say, what can I take away? I think it was Chanel that said, before you leave the house, take one thing off. And, it's true. It's true about your homepage, or it's true about your website. Just see what it is. Does that really have to be there? Is that really helping me? Can I simplify that? Can I clean it up? And, one thing to do, too, and I say this all the time, and I'm probably not going to be popular for saying this, but, if you do end up looking at everything within this online community, everything starts to look the same. It speaks the same language, the same visual language. And take yourself out of that market for a minute and go somewhere different. Look at a clothing.
Yeah.
Look at Need Supply Company or some other website, and look at how simple it is. That's the trends that are going on outside of this online business community. So it's like try to sort of look and feel and see how that makes you feel, versus looking at a site where everything is trying to attack you on the screen. It feels like a breath of fresh air, and you want to give your viewers the same thing. I think that then allows people to really read what you have to say and to really sort of, again, look at who you are and figure out who you are.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, so get out of your bubble. That's great, Sarah.
Yeah.
And so last question, similar question, we talked about what one change we can make online. Let's talk about offline. So the way you're showing up offline, whether it's at a networking event or just grabbing coffee with a new potential client or a new partner. Any tips? One thing that people can do to feel more like the version of themselves that they want to show up.
Excuse me. You know what? This is gonna sound so silly, but I like to take a shower before I go meet my clients. I know it sounds so dumb, but when I'm super clean and I'm presenting like a hygiene-minded person, and I put on some goddamn lipstick, I feel really good about myself. You won't offend.
Meg, what about you?
I don't see too many people in person. Most of my clients are not local, so when I was thinking about this, the majority, what I do is send a lot of cards and letters and things that you can touch and feel. So I send a lot of notes, and I send. I'm really passionate about Uganda. I have. Two of my boys are adopted from Uganda, so I send a lot of African jewelry. So that is part of my business. That's part of who I am. That's part of my business. And so I send a lot of, I give back to their orphanage. And so I send a lot of jewelry, and that's part of who we are. So thank you notes and gifts. And so that's what I do. I don't know if that's really a style thing, but that's part of my business.
That's amazing. It's a part of your life, your story that you're sharing with other people. And I know a lot of people do not send gifts. They do not send cards. And I actually just recently bought my like thank you cards, my Kate Spade, because I
it's
am going to
nice.
start sending
It's nice
thank
to
you
get
cards.
something in the mail.
Yeah, and it's just I went to a conference last week and I was like, you know what? I'm going to send thank you cards to those speakers that really like stood out to me, because
That's
if I
awesome,
send an
Kira.
email, they won't even see it. And it's the truth. They will not see my email. It probably will not mean anything. But if I send a card, maybe they'll see it. Maybe they'll care and know that I cared. So I think that's really great. Meg, thank you. And Sarah, anything?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people are always concerned, for instance, I've talked a lot about like website photography, and there is a difference. A lot of times people ask, how I show up online versus how I show up in person. And I mean, you don't have to be the spitting image, right? You don't have to be the same way. People understand that there's some theatrics a little bit involved a lot of times, in terms of photography. So I think it's okay, if you give yourself permission to have different versions of yourself, just like Kira has Pirate Kira, and Kira has, like other versions of Kira. And honestly, I think it's okay. And if it makes you feel comfortable, I mentioned the mood boards, make a mood board for your different personalities. So, I have bright and, bright Sarah. I have like, I'm wearing black Sarah because I just really just don't feel like wearing anything other than that. I have conservative, really out there, and I think it's okay. And as long as you feel, again, confident or comfortable, that's really what's going to shine through, honestly, is just your confidence. It's not so much what you're wearing. I mean, you could yank a dress off of the runway in Paris and throw it on and not feel comfortable. Guess what people are going to notice? That you're not confident, not your dress. So, it's just like, you do you.
Do you, Bo?
Yeah.
You all are good. This has been really, really helpful for me, and I'm sure for everyone listening and everyone that will listen to the replay of this webinar, because I know it's late. So I want to thank all three of you, Meg, Sarah, TT, for taking time out of your schedules and putting on costume, jumping in the city, TT, and sharing your insights with all of us. It means a lot, and I know that it's going to be helpful to the people that are listening. So thank you.
Yay.
Thank you.
And thank you guys.
And thank you to everyone that participated and was here live. We really appreciate it. It's good to have people in the chat, and we'll send a follow-up email with all the information for Meg, Sarah, TT, so you can connect with them if you want to connect with them. All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.